I look 14 max. Hey all you little boogers. That's what a lot of you were telling me to start saying because I said I couldn't decide between little boogers and hey y'all. But honestly, it just reminds me of SpongeBob when it's like, hey all you people, hey all you people, hey all you people, won't you listen to me? Oh my god. Sometimes I think I'm good at singing and then I do that kind of shit and I'm like, I'm tone deaf. You know what I'm talking about? The SpongeBob episode with the jellyfish jelly? You have to know the song. If you don't know the song, then I'm so sorry that you had to hear that. I tried to make my babangs work today. I promise I won't talk about them as much as I did in my last video. But I tried to do a swoopy side thing, but I just look so young, you guys. But I'm back and I have more Let's Not Meet stories that I'm really excited to read. I haven't had to read anything in a while, so I'm a little bit nervous because my voice is not prepared. But I have 3 stories from Reddit Let's Not Meet that took me like 20 minutes to say. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not ready to talk today at all. I was going to read your guys' stories for this video, but honestly, my email right now is so full of spam and random shit that I can't even go through it at this point. I need to take an hour or 2 of my day to go through and just mark everything as spam because you guys, the amount of hentai porn and dating websites that I've been signed up for is outrageous. And I think because people have been signing me up to so many different things, it doesn't think it's spam anymore. So now they're just going to my regular folder. They used to all go to my junk folder before, like I didn't have to deal with any of it. But now it just thinks that this is me. It thinks this is what I want. I've been signed up for so much random shit. And I know that me saying this is gonna get me signed up for even more random shit, but that's okay. I might make a new email. Somebody gave me the suggestion of making an Instagram so you guys can just like DM the Instagram, whatever. So I might do that. I might just make an entire new account on social media where I can't be signed up for random shit. But let's get started, shall we? Oh, another main reason I wanted to do a Let's Not Meet was because I found this story. It says, this guy stalked me at work for months. My boss thought it was cute. It reminded me of me. It reminded me of myself in my own story. If you guys haven't seen it, I've literally made the video twice, so you should probably go watch it. But I literally got stalked for months when I worked at Victoria's Secret by the security guard, the head of security at the complex, and it was the worst couple months of my life. So we're gonna read this poor girl's story, or boy, I don't know yet, and we're going to relate, like seriously relate. I will have all of the stories linked down below, so if you guys want to go read them or go check out the author's Reddit post, whatever the fuck, go hey. So they said this happened a good few years ago. Some context, I was in my early 20s, single, and living by myself. Most of my family lived about a 4-hour drive away from me. I was working for a small call center that provided, among other things, phone services for a 24-hour plumbing company, so they needed somebody on the line at all times. My shift ran from 8 p.m. to whenever my boss showed up to pick up the line, which was usually 6 a.m. I actually worked at a call center, so I feel this because I got harassed. I've told this story before as well, but I'm the queen of repeating myself. But I worked at GoDaddy, which is like a website domain place. I was literally tech support. Can you imagine me as tech support? Yeah, that job didn't work out too well. But that goes to show you that they literally hire anybody. Literally. It paid so well, and honestly, they didn't care if we didn't know how to solve problems as long as we were personable on the phone and bubbly and happy and could sell shit, which I feel like is every job. It's like, if you can sell things, they don't care if you actually know what you're doing. But because it was tech support, I was among the few females, let's say. So when I was put on my actual team, because for the first couple weeks I was in training, so I was basically in school. I had my class, you know, my classmates, my teacher, whatever. And so when I was moved to my actual team, my supervisor took me aside and she even told me, she's like, if you ever feel like the harassment's too much, let me know. And I had no idea what she was talking about. She was like, yeah, we've already heard people like talking about you, this kind of stuff. There was even a time we had to sit with the tenured people so we would understand what went on in the phone calls. We got kind of a taste of what it would be like when we got on the phones. And one of the guys in my class, the person he was working with, was like, who is that? And he was like, we all talk about her. And I was like, oh my God. And one of the other supervisors called me fresh meat. I've said that before, but he called me fresh meat. That's disgusting. But anyways, okay, back to the story. I worked in a building that housed several businesses of the same sort, call center work mostly, though we were the only one that had 24-hour service. Because of the budget cuts, I was always the only operator on my floor. The only people in the building at night were myself and the security guy who came to do his rounds twice a night. Now, because the line had to be on 24/7, I was never allowed to disconnect while I was there. I ran to and from the bathroom, ate meals sitting in front of the computer, and every once in a while sneaked a cigarette at the window within sight of the screen. Wait, that's fucked up. If I wasn't allowed, okay, because I had 3 breaks when I worked there. Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt a lot because I'm relating to you. I had 3 breaks, so I had 2 15-minute breaks and then I had a 30-minute break for lunch. If I did not have those, it would drive me insane. You know how hard it is to talk to dumb people on the phone when you're also a dumb person? Like, lady, I can't help you figure out your Yahoo email. I don't work for Yahoo. Only the light above my computer was on. Everything else was turned off when everybody went away around 10 p.m. p.m. So I was left in this half darkness beneath a spotlight. I desperately needed that job to support myself, so despite the crap conditions, I kept repeating it wasn't that bad. Things were usually quiet after 10 p.m. I could use the extra hours on my paycheck and didn't need to get a second job. I did a lot of reading and even considered going back to school because if nothing else, the night shift would afford me plenty of time to study. So one night around 2 a.m. or so, I got a call. I introduced myself as I always did. Hello, you're calling so-and-so. My name is Jill. How may I help you? The guy on the other side repeated my name and hung up. Working phone services on the night shift, you get used to a lot of weird stuff, so I shrugged it off and went back to my book. Then he called again and asked if he was speaking to Jill. I said yes, repeated the company name and asked how I might help. He hangs up. The third time around, he asks if this is Jill on the phone, and I ask who I'm speaking to. He hangs up again. The next time he calls, he's breathing hard on the phone and tells me he wants me to talk to him and he's not gonna hurt me. I jot down his phone number and I start hanging up whenever his call pops up, which was the better part of an hour. This went on for months. When he realized I was hanging up every time I saw that number, he began calling from a restricted number, meaning I never knew if it was a legit call and ended up answering. All the time, this guy keeps saying he wants to talk to me and that he's not gonna hurt me. The one time I counted, I hung up on this guy over 200 times in one night. Every time he would call, I would say the company name, and as soon as I heard him, I hung up. I complained to my boss, and she did nothing. Instead, she laughed the whole thing off because this guy obviously didn't know where I was, and he was only a voice on the line, and I was perfectly safe. Sometime into this, I started talking to coworkers, and here's where it started getting really creepy. He never called on my days off when somebody else would be covering my shift. Indeed, at one point, I changed shifts with a coworker to attend a wedding, and he did not call that day. As time went by, I was getting pretty spooked by the whole situation, and the fact that my boss did zero to try to stop this. My coworkers were sympathetic and told me that if my boss did nothing, I should file a complaint myself, but I'm not sure I could, since it wasn't happening on my personal phone number. None of them could really walk me home since I was the only operator at night shift. Everybody else was gone by the time my boss arrived and I left the office. I got a little paranoid because obviously this guy knew my schedule pretty well, and even if I changed shifts, he would only call if he knew I was on the line. It had to be someone who could see me. I started doing commute with my cell phone in hand at all times with the emergency number dialed in. Sometimes I did the whole commute on the phone with friends or relatives to keep calm. Since it's illegal to carry pepper spray here, at one point I considered walking around with a box cutter in my purse. That's how afraid I was. Trust me, bitch, I feel you. I'm literally paranoid about every human that I make eye contact with. One day before my shift started, I was at the entrance of the building smoking a cigarette before going up, and I see the security guy come by. Same fellow who usually did the night shift, a huge guy. I didn't really know him, never spoke to him much. I have a really bad feeling that it's gonna be him, and I'm getting flashbacks. I didn't really know him, never spoke much to him, only ever said good evening or goodbye when I went to his desk and whenever he came to my floor to do his rounds. I usually kept to myself and never really made small talk or anything, just greeted him out of politeness, and he greeted back. He asked for a light, so I gave him my lighter, and he told me he'd been fired and he was going home. He then went on to tell me he always got this impression I was afraid of him since I was never friendly or welcoming, exact words. Then he told me he was never gonna hurt me and just walked away. I lost every drop of blood I had in me, and my theory was correct. Why are security guards so fucking creepy? Oh my god, it's like literally your job to be a decent person and help others. Why? Oh my god, this is way too close to home for me. I don't like this. I went inside to tell my boss the whole thing and discovered the guy got fired for harassing women in other floors, going as far as trying to corner somebody in one of the elevators. Oh my god! The complaints piled up and he lost his job. Most of the time his shifts matched mine, so he would come see me at 8 p.m. and left before I did. I asked my boss for that phone number again to come forward on the guy. Asked the security company if it was his number. She told me that she threw it away. When I told her the whole story, she found it cute. Actually, fuck your boss, dude. Fuck your fucking boss. Then she asked me if I was sure it was him because the voice on the phone is different and maybe you got it wrong. Quality assurance told us time and again that every call was recorded, so I demanded recordings. That's when I found out, again, because of budget cuts and whatnot, the night shift was never recorded, so I had no evidence. Is this even legal at this point? I hope that you quit. I hate this company. Once the guy was fired, the call stopped. I didn't work there for much longer after that. Okay, bless your soul. So yeah, I have this guy's face imprinted in my mind. Hope I never meet him again. It's actually terrifying how similar our stories are. I hate that. It's like two of my jobs morphed into one. Every horrible experience. I feel you, trust me, I relate so much that it's disgusting. The next story I found also reminds me of a story I told semi-recently. I can't do this anymore. I had a really weird experience at Target a few weeks ago. Again, I have another video about this on my channel, and the title kind of reminded me of that, so I'm just trying to relive all my past traumas. This one says, "The creepy abduction van is real." No one ever believed these kinds of situations 17 years ago, and it was disheartening back then and even now. I'm 31 now, but I was a teen when I was walking home one sunny day. It was winter, but winter in Florida is just a nice cool breeze. Yeah, I'm from Arizona. I get that. I remember holding up a Tupperware in my hand that was still hot, containing pasta and broccoli my grandma had just made. It was so cool living 1 block away from my grandma because a quick 10-minute walk meant I got some really good leftovers. In between my house and her house was a patch of woods, but thorns and ticks prevented me from taking a shortcut through. I remember looking down at the sidewalk just as I reached the middle of the patch of woods to my right. I heard somebody ask, "Hey, where are you going?" I looked up and to my left, towards the road. A thin man in a white van with his windows rolled down smiled at me. He was driving the opposite direction of the way I was walking. I simply said home and continued to walk. He started to say, "Hey, hey," so I looked back to see him hanging out of his driver window. "I'll give you a ride home, come here," he says. I kept walking and loudly say, "No thanks." I stopped and turned around when I heard him drive away. I began walking, creeped out, wishing that the woods didn't run so long next to the sidewalk. I remember wishing I was home already. I was super alert now and hearing every critter in the brush to my right rustling leaves and scurrying about. I pick up my pace, reminding myself that those woods were packed with lizards. I said to myself out loud, "It's just lizards running around, silly." But then I hear a vehicle coming up behind me. Out of fear, I look back, and to my horror, it's the same white van with the same man still smiling. The van slows down next to me, and a big, angry-looking man flung open the side door and jumped out. I was about to throw my phone, but I need to stop doing that. I turned to my right and began running as fast as I could into the woods. I was jumping over bushes and long vines, clenching my grandma's Tupperware for dear life. I looked back once, and the thick brush of the woods was slowing the big man down. I knew just going straight, I would reach my backyard guarded by a chain link fence. I remember the thorns and sticks slicing my skin, but I couldn't feel the pain. I just kept thinking, run. Once I reached the fence, I chucked the Tupperware and hoisted myself over, ripping my jeans, and face planted onto the ground on the other side with a loud thud. I ran onto my porch and began banging the back door. My dad let me in, and I'm literally panicking, covered in dirt and cuts, trying to lock the back door. I felt safe to be back home with my dad and our Rottweilers. He sat me down and started questioning me immediately, and he called the cops. The cops arrived, only 2, and took a report. They said nothing like that happened in my area before, and one even told me lying for attention was against the law. I remember they left, and my dad swore he believed me. He said I could sleep in his room if I wanted. I remember feeling really sad and frustrated about not being believed and going to bed without eating the pasta with broccoli. At least you held on to that shit. I guess there's a positive here. It was hard to sleep or go anywhere after that for months because I was so scared the men were still out there. My dad ended up getting me a cell phone and installing an alarm system to help me feel safe. I still have issues being alone to this day. To the men that tried to abduct me that day, let's never meet again. This is the shit that I'm talking about, you guys. I still need to make a video reading other people's stories from my comment section from the video that I already made about this. But this shit is so real. This shit happens. And it's so scary because people brush it off like it's nothing. What if something did happen? And what if I wasn't alert? And what if I wasn't paying attention to every aspect of the situation? And what if they were able to get me and abduct me and something happened? It's terrifying to think about. And so even if you're being a little bit crazy, just please be safe and please be aware of your surroundings at all time because this kind of stuff happens. And now moving on to a very lighthearted story. This one says potential robbery at 4 a.m. So this happened to me a few years ago. I lived in some studio flats that were clearly studio flats if you saw them from the outside. There were 3 flats on either side, connected by an open air corridor, so you could see who was coming and going on the stairs. Our landlord never fixed the lock on the gate, so people would frequently come in and rummage around and steal shit. It was annoying, what the fuck? Anyways, one night around 4 a.m., I woke up to some knocking on my door. I had a friend staying with me at the time, and I woke her up, saying I heard something. I approached the door and I heard somebody crying. Hello? Please, I don't know where I am. I need help. Please help me. It was a woman and it sounded as though she was lying on the ground in front of my flat. I didn't have a peephole in the door, but I had a clear view of the road outside. I looked back at my friend who is now standing behind me and she says, "Don't open the door." I start looking for my phone to call the police and look out the window and see 2 men sitting in a car watching this woman. I dial 911 and I tell them what's going on as I watch the passenger in the car get out and the car drive off. The dispatcher says police will be there shortly and I hang up. I hear the man coming up the steps and knocking on all of the doors. He gets to my door. I don't hear the woman anymore and I hesitate to respond after he knocks. I've called the police and then there's just silence. He doesn't say anything and then I hear them walk down the stairs together. The car returns and the man drives off a couple minutes later. A few minutes after that, the police arrived. One comes up and tells us the woman was perfectly fine. She was coherent, not crying, knew where she was and where she lived, and they gave her a ride home. I told the officer about the 2 men in the car and they kind of just shrugged it off. My friends and I didn't end up going back to sleep that night. We were too weirded out. I still have so many questions, but I will most likely never know what that was actually about. maybe it's for the best that I never meet those 3 to get the answers that I want. Wait, that kind of stuff creeps me out too. I think about this shit all the time. I don't know if I just have no faith in humanity, but I always get really nervous. Okay, remember when I first moved in to my apartment and my neighbors were fighting and I literally had to call the police. I have a lot of stupid shit happen to me. Okay, I can't help it. Day 2 of me living in this apartment, my neighbors were screaming at each other outside of my apartment door. And I got really nervous because I just didn't know what was going on. It sounded really bad. So I called the police just to make sure that nothing happened. And then the other night around, it was probably like around 1 or 2, I was trying to go to sleep. I heard somebody yelling in the hallway again and I couldn't tell what was going on. And then it went from the hallway to like outside, just like in like the parking lot area, because I live right by the parking lot. And then I just started to think, what if something was happening between the 2 of them? Because clearly they have issues because they've had multiple problems, whatever. But what if something happened and she tried to knock on my door or something and she needed help? I don't know what I would do, because I would want to be able to help. I would want to like have her come in and her be safe, whatever. But at the same time, what if like it gets me involved and then something else happens and something gets worse? I get so scared about that kind of shit because I just don't know what I would do in that situation. Part of me thinks that I would just call the police and probably not open the door because, again, you still don't know. I mean, I don't even know what my neighbors look like. And so my fear is that somebody's going to come knock on my door and beg for help, and it's going to be this same situation that was in the story. Can you hear the wind? It's like, no, it's not. But someone's going to knock on my door and they're going to ask for help, whatever. I'm going to open it and then they're going to just snatch my ass and she's going to be a part of it. I'm literally scared of everyone and everything. But I hope you guys enjoyed. This video should be going up on Friday, and if it is, hello everybody, happy Friday. I just wanted to mention really quick that tonight, like the day that you are seeing this video, I'm actually on the front page of Twitch, which is really exciting. So if you guys want to come and hang out at my stream, I'm gonna do an IRL stream. It's just gonna be us hanging out and talking. But this is like really fucking cool because I'm gonna be on the front page and I feel really official. I feel really awesome. I'm so excited for this. But I just wanted to throw that out there. My Twitch will be linked down below. It's just cjades, same thing as my YouTube. But you guys should totally come hang out with us. We're just gonna be talking and hanging out. I have an amazing community, and then we're also probably gonna have a lot more people coming in because I'm gonna be on the front page. People are gonna see my face when they log on to Twitch. But okay, I'm gonna go make myself some lunch. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye. I hope that my armpits aren't fucked up this video. They were so nasty. My last one, they were green. I self-tanned, but I used my hands because I'm disgusting, and it just made my armpits look really green and really weird. And also people were wondering why it was green and not orange. It was green because the tanner that I use has a green undertone instead of an orange undertone. It looks better with my skin. I like the way that it looks. And so if I put too much in one area or it gets really patchy in one area, it is green. It's not orange, so it's not a hard explanation. But my armpits are no longer green now, they're just white circles. All right, see ya.